Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and once again, we're bringing you your favorite show, and that is Men. Now, as always, we are the one show that talks about the things that nobody wants to talk about, but they're thinking it. So today, we're going to talk about vasectomy. Is it a decision of the wise or a choice of fools? I'll leave that to you to think about and talk about as we go on later. Now, this show is brought to you by Oblamu, and we're here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel. Now, with us today, the rest of the team are well known. We have a well-known doctor called Dr. Okumo from Nakasero Hospital. Doctor, just before we went on air, first of all, welcome to the show. Now, just before we went on air, I'll not say who, but I think everybody knows who. Somebody was asking if you just slice. So,
if you slice and dice.
If you slice and dice. I think it will be very important, not only for us who are here, but also for the viewers at home, to understand what exactly is a vasectomy.
A vasectomy is an operation. When you hear the word ectomy in surgery, it means removal of something. So vasectomy comes from the word vas. There's something called a vas deferens, which transports sperms from the testis to the male's private part when it's supposed to pass there. So vasectomy is when you cut that tube. And then the sperms can't connect from the testicles to the male private part.
So the testicles are kept intact, because usually that's what a lot of men are worried about.
The testicles are kept intact and nothing happens to them.
You said cut. You cut in two places?
You cut in one place. It's a tube. So you cut and then you separate the tube.
Okay, now that's interesting. Now, traditionally, a lot of family planning has been driven towards women. Yes, it's always about women should do this, women should do that. But now we're seeing a new age where men are taking control. Is this something that is recommended, or should we just stick to the traditional ways of family planning?
It all depends, because, I mean, honestly speaking, if your wife is going to have a cesarean section, that means the doctors are going to be close to her tubes. So they can as well take out the baby, and if that baby is the last one you've chosen to have, then they could tie the tubes. I think it's easy. But if your wife delivers normally and she's pushing, then meaning tying her tubes involves cutting her, then there you have to agree now who goes, the man or the woman. So in that case, we advise that you decide. And I think it's something still new in Uganda. And very few men are choosing to have vasectomy. I don't know why, because I think because of what Peter said, they think when you cut with the tubes, you're going to become a woman, you're going to get hips, you're going to beards, they're going to disappear. I don't know. It's
strange you should mention that, because one of the things which I read about is some of the theories, or rather myths behind vasectomy, is that once your tubes are cut, you lose your testosterone. So your body will no longer produce it. So those who have will stop growing facial hair, they'll get hips, as you're saying, and their voices will become squeaky like Colin when he's upset. So, okay. I shall not comment about that one.
No. By the way, in vasectomy, especially done by people who are trained, you only look for that tube called the vas deferens. And for us who do even when you're doing a hernia repair, it's so easy to identify, because when you're telling students who are learning, we tell them it's like an electric cable. It's hard and white and you can feel it. So in vasectomy, you look for only that tube and it's what you clamp. So you don't affect the blood supply to the testicles, you don't affect the veins from the testicles, you don't affect the nerves, you don't affect even the testosterone production, because testosterone is produced by some cells in the testis. So they keep on coming.
So you talked about clamping. So you don't cut the tube, you just... do you just clamp it, or do you cut it and clamp both ends?
This is on national TV.
Yes. Yeah. There's a reason why I'm asking that. Yeah.
There are both ways. The most modern one is there's something we used to call badizo. Badizo in cows. They just for the bull they fall off, but now with the badizo in men, they're not supposed to fall off. You look for the same tube and then clamp it. It's called the non-cutting, non-knife vasectomy.
That's
non-surgical vasectomy.
The one, it's a bit reversible if it's done.
First, sorry, Peter, since you're the one asking the questions, can we talk about the reversibility vasectomy? Because I mean, obviously, I mean, and this is for the viewers out there. Before we started, I asked everyone here, and there's a lot of guys behind this production set. There's the guys here, and there's twice this number of people around us producing the show. And we asked, there's no one here who has had a vasectomy. Obviously, because people fear it's
I think
the
the right word
permanent.
is no one came out.
But Colin, what you missed is you didn't ask who almost had a vasectomy.
So,
Because there are people here who have almost had a vasectomy,
Yes.
who are going to come out of there.
some willingly, some less willingly.
No, they are willing.
So reversibility, it is called a permanent method, ideally. But if somebody really wants to have babies again, just like in the women, when the tubes have been tied, there's an operation to reconnect them. So likewise, whether it has been cut or crushed or whatever, Badizo method, you can still connect them, join them together.
Yeah.
So you can reverse.
You can reverse.
All those
reversible.
operations are reversible.
Yes, both are reversible.
So one of the fears men have had is, he's talking testosterone. I don't know what he's thinking, but for me, people have been asking about, can the brother stand firm after vasectomy?
So people have been asking you.
Hey, are we?
You know, Colin, listen, there's a friend of mine who wants to know.
Yeah.
So,
Peter's friend.
Yeah, like I said before, the brother is not affected at all because all you're looking out for is the tube. The tube that transports sperms from the testicles to the male private part. So the brother is not affected at all.
So what happens to the sperms when they are produced? Do they become protein and they're
What
helpful
happens-
to the body?
What happens to the sperms? What happens to sperms in all of us? Because any man will not use his sperms for. We produce about 1,500 sperms every second, but you can't use all of them. So sperms have a lifespan of 75 days and they're reabsorbed by the body. So the guy who has had vasectomy, the same thing will happen to him.
you just keep
So he
doing
starts
it.
gaining weight.
No.
Because that's a lot of nutrition, my brother.
But all of us are
That's,
reabsorbed.
that's a lot of nutrition you're not expending. I think that's what Chris is.
Yes,
I want
please.
to ask, how about many people are asking questions right now? How about the spoof? You know the spoof? The cam.
Yeah.
What happens to it exactly?
The-
Because if
the-
are do the sperms come with
You
a
want to
contract
call
with-
that thing semen?
I think that makes more sense.
No, but they say semen and sperm. Can you really
Sperm is part of semen.
semen? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, does it mean that you no longer have because that,
Sperm?
I thought
Sperm composes only 5%, 2 to 5% of semen.
So you can still have semen,
You'll have
ejaculation.
semen. You'll have semen, yes. Time will
body
come to
working
shoot,
well.
you'll shoot, there'll be bullets, but one component will be missing.
Yeah. They are not harmful. They are rubber bullets.
rubber bullets.
You guys, it's so sad that you can sit here in a country that is suffering with overpopulation and talk about blank bullets because there's a cultural stigma around men who cannot fire bullets.
No, but
No,
you
you
fire
you
bullets.
see, the thing
you
is,
decide to be like Kaihura. Plastic bullets, so that you don't kill people.
Yeah.
No, I think also one of the things which we need to be cognizant of is Uganda has one of the youngest populations in the world and one of the fastest growing populations in the world. And I think it's important as men to take charge of the situation. Otherwise, we are going to be in a situation where we're running out of control. Just a few days ago, there was somebody I know who got their glasses stolen snatched from their what do you call it, from their face, and somebody took off with them. And to me, that is a sign of desperation. We're reaching levels of desperation which are worrying, and that is what population pressure does. However, we need to less babies. However, one thing that's definitely obvious is a lot of men are afraid. And I think, Colin, you need to tell us, what are your biggest fears where vasectomy is concerned?
No, man. I mean, as I think that the fears are around two things. One, there's still a very strong. So you keep talking about overpopulation, but yet the reality is that a lot of men still see their strength and virility as being equated to the number of children they have. Society still values children to, still associates children to success. Not so much the number of children, because we used to have children for security, but now your success is your ability to look after those children. So you have, 8, 10, and you're looking after them. You're a successful man. That's one. But two, and I think what is even more scary, I think it's just the fact that, and I think that if people could have vasectomies and it remains their secret, it would, I mean, people would do it. But, you know, Dr. Kumo here one day, he's in a Kafunda, sees you on TV, says, that one.
I finished him already.
Now, all of a sudden, when you're saying, but I want hot water to bathe, they're like,
Doctor say. Now, we'll get back to you. I don't know where that came from. I hope that's not the case, doctor.
No,
Now, we are here at the Sheraton
confidentiality.
Kampala Hotel talking about a very sensitive topic, especially where men are concerned, and it's about vasectomy. Now, we want, at the end of this show, you to know the truths. Are you going to lose your manhood if you decide to get a vasectomy, or are you going to be a better man? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you just joined us, we're here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel on Men, that's sponsored and proudly brought to you by Obulamu. And we're talking about having a vasectomy. Now, before we went into the break, yeah, Colin just
I just
threw us off.
I just like stopped off just a bit there. So we talked about, one, there's the cultural significance. Two, we've talked about the fear of confidentiality. And I think thirdly is, I mean, just growing up and just knowing that this is, and so there is, we like to say that men are lions. But the nature of being a lion is that you have a very short active lifespan. You will grow into your puberty and maturity, and you'll be mature for a very short while. And then you will just die a miserable old lion. People don't see that. And I think that expanding the analogy, I mean, it takes courage. It's the brave men who say, I am done with this. I need to take, this is the next step of my life. I know that this is a decision I want to take. This is what I'm going to do. Right. And many people don't have those balls, man.
Yeah, because they're cut off.
They want to keep them.
No, Peter, you don't cut off the balls when you do a vasectomy. Where do you come from?
That's what a lot of people think.
No, but you don't cut them off.
I'll get you in 1 second. Albert, as a man, and a young man for that matter, what is your greatest fear? You're the lion, you know, the one in your prime. Is a vasectomy something you'd consider? If not, what is your greatest fear about?
The greatest fear is the fact that, man, these doctors, they are human. If doctor makes one mistake, may find your balls. They're actually giving you your balls the way you give a baby. Any mistake.
We are on national TV.
Okay, sorry. What
are we doing?
Let's try to censor this a bit. So, the mere fact that, you see, you can't trust any man.
Yes.
Even with his fingers. These guys are trained. He's telling you, you feel a wire. When if they start practicing on you, is this, you know, anything can be hard. You know, at that point, maybe you can be stressed, and another nerve is harder than this other nerve, and it's white. So,
but then I think he needs to highlight.
No.
That.
Okay, probably no. There are mistakes. You've heard of people who have their scissors left in them. You think the person was drunk? No, as in they were left in. So it's just a nerve. You can't tell me there's just only one nerve there, and it's just lying there, white, ready for you to touch and feel. Oh, this is the hard one. Let's clap it, or let's put a badizo or whatever. What I believe, I've seen cows when the balls fall off. I grew up seeing those things, and I don't actually. The mere fact that you can't trust a human being, and to me, I won't lie to you. He may come and give you testimonies and bring people on live TV. I don't actually believe it's that reversible, as in psychologically. It's not that reversible. The way a woman will look at you, yes, you may have been so brave and said, let me take this on my shoulder, carry this cross. My friend, psychologically, when you keep walking among the men, if I sit here and I know my sperms will stay in there and sit for a while until I decide
they will die.
As in, I can't be called a man. As in, fully called a man. But as I'm a man.
My question to you is:
yes.
Now, would you rather, have 10 kids who you can't feed, who you can't clothe, who you can't house? Would you call yourself a man, or do the wise thing, and and nip it off earlier, because I believe, and I stand to be corrected, that the father of a child is not the one who sires a child, but the one who raises a child.
So, Peter, I won't lie to you. Give me the 10 kids now. Because let me tell you, you're putting so much into assumption that you can't look after them, you can't what.
No, but these are challenges that are there.
Do you know what it feels? Let me tell you, me, as I want to have kids. Do you know what I don't care if there are 10 kids, if just one child. But if you carry out that procedure, it's kind of, it puts you off balance. When you're making arguments based on children, what, in your back of your mind, you're like, hey, don't talk too much. There's a certain gap down there that needs to be filled up. As in, Peter, to be...
Okay, I'll tell you what. Now, Chris, I need your thinking here. And I'll tell you what. Clearly, from the two gentlemen, what we have seen, the challenge is psychological.
Yeah.
It's psychological, it's social, and I gather it's a lot to do with not only just being, but an African thing. You've talked about the lion, that I'm a man because I can have children. Would you want, and I ask again, would you rather be a man who has 10 kids or a man who has managed himself and has enough money?
Well, okay, so first of all, I don't know whether there's a causality between how many kids you have and how much money you have.
Oh, there is.
No, not really.
Look at the developed nations. One of the things they have gotten into under control, and if that was the case, countries like China would not be actually clamping down on their population.
I know, but then now you go to a country like France, where there is negative population growth.
Yes, but the economy
there are less and less French people of French origin in France. And so the Arabs and all these guys are coming in and they're taking over the country. That said, I think that when a man goes to a labor suit and watches his wife deliver by whatever method, whether natural birth or cesarean, especially natural birth, that would be an interesting thing. I've been to the labor suit twice. We've got 2 kids and I've been there twice. When you see what your wife goes through to deliver a child, it's like they've really sacrificed their life for
They
to,
actually do bring...
Yes. In fact, in Luganda, it's called Olutavaro, a war, you know. So you know, when a lady passes on, I think they say Yafi Demusanya. It's like they were at battle and they lost the battle.
Yeah, the battle they were born to have. Like
Yeah,
to
I understand that. So when you're not engaged closely with women delivery and delivering children and going on and on, it's very easy to say, I want 8 kids. I want 10 kids. But when you are there at the point of delivery, and you see this line, very thin line between life and death happening, as one is giving forth life, they could be losing life. They lose blood, anything could go wrong. And they go through that the first time, and you're there. And then they go through that the second time, and you're there. You're thinking, she's going to go through this a third time? And I think for me, that's one of the things that prompted me to go ask for a vasectomy.
To seek information.
No, I wanted a vasectomy to be done on me.
You wanted?
Yes. So I went to hospital to fill in papers to get myself cut, whatever that wire is. And
Red wire. The white
yeah, I know you can't believe it, but it's true. Yeah. And for me, it's because initially, when we're talking about our family, my wife had wanted 1 kid, I had wanted 2. So we negotiated, we said, okay, let's do 2. And after we had the second child, I was done. Like, I'm really done. I think that my energies, my life can help so many others. I can sort of help father so many other children who have no fathers, even though they're not biological.
Chris, just a quick one, a really quick one. What happens if your wife is driving someday and that family, you see, that the family, God forbid, perishes?
I've already done that calculation. For me, the calculation is that God by His grace, allowed me to have 2 children. And for me, that's enough. So the point is that I think for a vasectomy...
Just 1 second, if I may just interject about that. You know, life can have it that, all right, your entire family can be wiped out, and you're the only one, all right?
Yes, yeah.
So you start another family, and it's wiped out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see,
And then,
you have
and
you
then
had
the
the opportunity.
in the same way, yes,
there was the
hold on,
opportunity to
hold
start.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Then also in reverse, when you get married, will it be okay for your wife to have a substitute husband?
No,
just
no.
in case you
I'm
die.
not,
Food
it's
for
not
thought.
about. It's not
Food
about
for thought.
substitute. It's not about that. But
Yes.
it gives you the opportunity. You have thought about it, but it provides you that. It gives you that buffer. That hey, in case,
But
man, you can't
this
hold.
is the kind of
So-
mentality that's keeping us backward.
So
no.
As
Keeping
Africans,
you-
yes.
We're
Because-
keeping you backward.
wait. I'm going to explain something. But Chris, first finish.
Yeah.
Okay,
Peter,
first, yeah,
remember
let him
that
first-
I'm
let him first
speaking after Chris.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that helped me to decide, to make that decision. I did not want my wife to go through another delivery. Also because every delivery of a child strains a woman's body. It really does. And man, I am thinking long term with my wife. I think she looks hot and I want her to keep looking hot. And we've been lucky not to have C-section. So like the doctor said, that the cesarean option was not on the table for us. So I went to Mulago.
So that's what I was about to ask. So why?
Exactly.
Did you
So
get on
this is
with
what
it? Yeah.
happened. I go to Mulago because I was told Mulago has a very good unit for vasectomy. You register and they do it in a few minutes and you're done.
Well, the
And it's
government
not a
has been
major
cutting our
operation.
balls
It's not
off
like
for years,
circumcision even. It's not like circumcision. It's a minor thing. Rest for a day or two and you're up on your feet. That's what I was told. So I go to register to have the vasectomy done. And I found a lady, a nurse. She said, hey, what do you want? I say, this is me, I want to do a vasectomy. She looks at me. I said, at that time, I think I was 36. I said, I'm 36. I said, I said, I've got 2 kids. Famaso,
Met a wise woman. That was a wise woman you met.
she gave me a dress down.
Yes.
Okay? Like you come here, you disturb us. You first of all ask that we cut you. Then after that, you want other kids. And you come back and disturb us. Go away. Get lost. Never come back, brother. I'm like, look, this is a
That was a decision made for you by a wise woman. You were making a decision of a fool, and a wise woman came to your aid.
Come down.
All right. No.
I think now, Dr. This is where I need your input. First of all, Chris has mentioned something very interesting about the procedure. A lot of people don't know. Is it a simple operation?
That's one.
First of all. Number 2, how soon? Actually, there are 3 questions. First of all, is it a simple operation? Number 2, how long does it take to heal? And number 3, which is most importantly to men, when can I when can I resume duty? Just hold on to that. We'll be right back after the break. Now, we're here at the Sheraton Kapal Hotel, and we are talking about vasectomies. Is it something that you've considered the way Chris did? Hope you didn't go through an experience like his. We'll find out right after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, we're here with Dr. Kumu from Nakasero Hospital talking about vasectomies. Now, one of the things which we have alluded to is that men are cowards. But before we went into the break, Doctor, I needed you to just briefly touch on those 3 things for me. First of all, the process. Is it a simple process? Is it a complicated operation? As Albert says, your testicles are held, can fall off. Number 2, how long does it take to heal? How long will it take me to be walking around and doing everything? And 3rd, which is most important, when do I get back to business? How soon can I have sex after that?
Thank you, Peter. It's a simple operation because, like I said before, these tubes are quite close to the skin, to the surface of the testicle. So one getting them is quite easy. You can even, if you go back when you're bathing, you can just touch it.
Are you put under anesthesia, or is it?
We just give we call it local
anesthesia.
Yeah, just give a small drug in that area. Then actually use one incision, one small 1 centimeter incision. Then There's a small equipment used to fish out the tube. Do what you want to do with it and put it back, left then right. So what Albert is fear is not there. So you can't, and in case if I take up one testicle by mistake, the other one will be there. So
you're still answering the question.
And he has mentioned that thing is very important. You know, a lot of people don't know that a man can survive on one testicle very comfortably.
Yeah. Let's not get there.
So the process is quick.
The process is quick, and the process actually is, we call it an outpatient procedure, no need for admission. How soon can you get back to work? I think I've worked with some people who are flying in the evening. Comes for operation at midday and he has a flight at 7, and they've gone. Resuming night duty actually should be...
That duty is anytime. But
after the operation.
After the operation, because
some people are night duty people.
There's one doctor.
There's some remnants of sperms. We cut close to the testicle, so there's some remnants of sperms in the tube. So after the operation, you can still make someone pregnant. For the next about 10 weeks, most people say 20 ejaculations.
When you discuss these things, you have to talk about the real issue. Because you are right when you said it's a psychological issue. But the issue, contrary to what people think, is not a reproductive psychological issue. It's a courage issue. It's a thing of fear and courage. Because what Chris was describing is a situation where you see your partner put their life on the line to bring life forth. And then you want to turn around and say, you know what, even this cutting thing, you go one more time. You see? And I think that that's one of the things that we have to talk about. The reason why people used to have those, what you call insurance children, was that because, in our grandparents' times, children seldom lived above 5 because of the 6 killer diseases and malnutrition and all these things. So children died. So you had 6. If you managed to raise 3, you are lucky. If you managed to raise 5, it was a hit and miss game. But that's an old attitude. And also the attitude of men who think that it's always the woman who has to take the bullet for contraception. And so there is a serious conversation on courage. And real, I think that's the real test of manhood. Because it's not even the ability to reproduce, by the way. It's just the ability for a man to decide and say, I am never going back. And I think that state of permanency gives you a very aggressive, very forward-thinking. Like, it takes a man who's forward-thinking and aggressive to do that.
Sure. But you see, have you tried to research and have all the information on other methods and be so sure that this will ensure 100%? As in, you've not tried out every other thing.
The reason why I don't...
You're putting all your eggs in one basket.
But think about what Chris was saying.
I get it.
You see your wife come to the point of death, and you're just like, you know what? I love this person. There must be another way I can.
I'll tell you, you mentioned something very interesting in terms of behavioral change. I personally am a crusader for a lower population, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you a simple example. I don't know how many of you have gone to Arua, okay? But now, just slightly after Pakwach, there are people who are selling charcoal on the road, all right? You look all the way up to the horizon, there's not a single tree. So it means, and for people who've been using that road for, let's say, like around the last 10, 15 years, will tell you that in around, this has happened in a span of less than 10 years. There is
as far as the eye can see.
As far as the eye can see. So it means the forests are going further and further and further. Right now, our seasons have become completely unpredictable. And you know why? We are, as men, are sitting back and saying, family planning is for the women. Let the women go. And there are even some men who are going a step further and not even letting their women go.
Saying, no family planning.
No family planning.
No,
yes,
who was saying something about religion? God shall provide.
Yes. There's actually a joke I read somewhere where this fellow was being asked about how he went to marry somebody's daughter. He clearly didn't have the means to look after a family, and he was asked by his father-in-law, how are you going to raise the children? He says, oh, God will provide. So, okay, fair enough. How are you going to house the children? He says, God will provide. He said, and how are you going to take the children to school? He says, God will provide. So his father-in-law told him, you know what, I appreciate you really sucking up to me, but my name is not God. Okay, and that is a challenge. Right now, we've got a very high dependency rate. Everybody is taking care of somebody. And it goes back to what I was saying. When you look at a lot of the progressive societies, it's because people have disposable income and are not spending it. Now, is it about me being a man? You've talked about it, courage, okay? Or is it about being realistic and dealing with the issues at hand? And vasectomy is one of them.
I want to clarify something.
I want to defer to the doctor.
Yeah.
I want him to talk to us about why.
Why?
When you talk to patients,
Why vasectomy?
when
I
they come,
asked you that same
when they come
question.
to you and the guy has not slept from midnight
And
to
be
6
honest.
to 6 a.m. and he spent a whole
Yes,
night. Like,
and be
what are the
honest.
things that bring people to this decision?
And what do you tell
Well,
them?
just like Chris's story was interesting. And I must say, the very first time a man came to me that was vasectomy, I looked at the guy and, is this guy okay? Because even myself as a human being, I said, now this guy, has he really? But I mean, the guy was serious. He was determined. I asked him about the wife. He came with the wife was happy. They had been having kids by normal delivery. And for him, he said, I want it. And I think I concur with Peter that I also believe one of the troubles, this is my belief, I stand to be corrected, one of the issues that we have in third world countries is overpopulation, I think. What I've seen, like right now, there's a very big, I think, an incidence or emergence of single mothers. That means there's some men who are making more than one woman pregnant. So these men are not vasectomies. I think there's
guys,
first
First of all, you have to realize vasectomy, it is a voluntary thing.
Voluntary.
Unless you're going to get a man and actually get young men and tell them, you've had one child, go. You've had another child, go. No, it's a voluntary thing.
promote the biggest reason the patients give is just like he said. I think it's like courage. And I think these are men who I consider them men who love their wives a lot. Because if you look at vasectomy, and the other is called tubal ligation. I think there are two permanent methods, one for men, one for women. Tubal ligation involves you cut the tummy, then you go into the tubes that are deep inside the tummy. But for the man, these things are close to the surface, so you just... So it's a simple operation.
The man who
and-
loves his wife and hates his life.
So I think it's simpler. And number two, me, I think, I have not done research on this, I think it's more effective to do to the men's side than the female side. I think it's more effective.
Because when you cut one man, you
Yeah,
are stopping this multiple
multiple-
impregnation.
Because I
But
mean,
you're encouraging multiple sex and encouraging easy spread of STDs. You basically
no, you see, but the thing is,
the way it's scaled
This
is
is the same attitude we had on circumcision. People who think that circumcision gives you 100%.
no.
So you can do whatever
it gives
you want,
Free
yeah.
license. Serious.
No, it
if I know I
doesn't.
can't,
You still have
and
to
by
be
the way,
responsible.
For me, a child like a person like me,
child like-
yes,
a child like you.
I'm a child of God. Please, aren't you a child of God?
Hey, guys,
a child like me.
guys,
If you
be out
told
of
me,
this.
listen, if you give me a vasectomy right now, and I know I'm 100%, I cannot impregnate any woman right now, I would go on a rampage.
No, but we need to accept that for Albert, he's not had a child yet.
Yes.
So he's
True.
fighting for his right.
He's not going to be nice
to
deny
have
that.
kids.
And he was fighting against my rights.
And I think that vasectomy is not an option for everyone. I guess that's why there are many options for family planning. So at some point, if you've had enough kids and you feel you've had enough, it's an option.
Chris, so at least don't get unnecessary.
No one is checking your stuff. Man.
Now, guys, we've reached that point in the show when we do actually have to wrap up. You know how it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for your parting shot, starting with you, Albert. First of all, calm down. Nobody's taking the kids away from you. Okay.
But now, at
But
this rate,
you-
they should take them away from
Yes. I mean, So what are your thoughts in 2 minutes?
2 minutes, not even 2, I'll take less. Mere fact, when he started talking, I instantly got cold feet. I felt my feet actually get cold. And the mere fact, the procedure, yes, he may say how safe it is and what, but I'm an African boy. Although I'll become a man one day, and I know you're putting. What I believe is you're just putting all your eggs in one basket. When you do that, you're limiting your future. You're not limiting your future, but you're determining. You're kind of like putting a padlock completely. Amen. I believe China we need the labor force in Uganda. Much as we have people who are skilled and what, we're lagging behind, not because we are overpopulated, because there are no opportunities. Maybe they're there, but maybe they're not distributed fairly. That's my belief. Sorry.
Okay, Dr. Okumo, as our specialist tonight, your parting shot.
Thank you very much, Peter. I think I don't know what people should fear more. Fear pregnancy or making someone pregnant, or fear the deadly STDs. I think people should consider both when messing around. But I think what people should know overall is that vasectomy, much as it's called a permanent method, it is reversible. People now do operations reversible, but then someone can still go back to normal function. So people shouldn't think if I've had this, then I'm no longer a man, I can't become a man again. Of course, some people have that psychological thing that, that's why right now the uptake is very low. I think I've seen statistics. The biggest company doing it in Uganda is Maristops. And I think they carry out about 2,000, 2,500 a year. Just.
25.
25. Yes. So I think it's a permanent method, but it can be reversed. People should know that. And number two, I still believe if you deal with the men's side, and again, if a man goes for vasectomy, like I said, the first patient I got, I was a bit surprised. I almost said what the nurse told Chris. I said, hey, you man, are you serious? Do you really want it? Do you don't think about it and come back tomorrow? But he says, no, I'm determined, I've come, I want the operation done. And we did it. But again, I realized that this man is really good. He loves his wife. The wife has gone through difficulties. Having their baby, carrying the pregnancy 7 months, everything changes. You can't walk well, you can't do your work. So this man has considered his wife and said, now let me also play a part in our family and bring up our family. Let me also do a part. And that is not so hard because you give this simple drug on your skin there, deal with the tube. It takes about 15 minutes and you're done. And it's very cheap. In fact, where I used to work in a hospital called Kisizi in Rokonjiro, I think it was free. It was done free of charge. So most places done free of charge. Nagasoro, we are a very cheap hospital. So if you want it, you can afford, you can't fail to afford it. But it is free of charge because they try to encourage men to take up family planning also, which I think is a very good thing for our society and for us as people. Thank you very much.
Super. Colin, your parting shot. You seem to be sitting on the fence.
I am on the fence.
You're not sure.
In between that guy. And then with this, you see, I think it's because Dr. Kumu is just so nice. You know,
and easy about
he's
it.
He's the perfect guy. It's like you wake up and you've been sliced free. If you sleep on the job.
He won't be there the next day.
Me, I mean, you've known me over there, and I'm a big fan of debunking societal constructs. And a big societal construct, of course, is that a man who has chosen this decision is impotent. And people don't understand the difference between this and impotence, and they think that you become impotent. But obviously, he said, you know, it's not. It's a choice that you take. But understand, my friend, that in this society, when a woman looks at you and says, oh, you guy, you, that one there, nothing. Or whatever. Understand that your social capital drops. And in Uganda, where everything is run on appearances, I mean, some of the guests we tend to have here sometimes, everything is run on appearances. Can you imagine? You don't have money, you're not the cleverest guy, now you cannot have children. I mean, like,
everything is working against
how many L's can a guy take?
Yeah.
And so, which now brings me to my parting shot. Courage. We must be willing to find the courage. And even for people like Albert, to have the conversation with peers, to be able to consider the idea. You don't have to do it, but consider it. Don't be closed off to it. To people who are married, who have children, you must have the courage to have these conversations with your partners. Because again, as you say, this show is about bringing conversations back into living rooms that are no longer there. So we must have the courage to talk to partners, to talk to friends, to circulate this idea, because, I mean, we've talked about it. It's the ultimate sacrifice. It's the highest love that you can show to your partner. But ultimately,
He'd be a very good colonial agent.
It's the way of the lion. I think that's how real warriors, real champions go out. Mm-hmm. You do your thing, and when you're done with the battlefield, you are done with the battlefield.
Wow. No turning back. Great stuff.
Well, no turning back. No turning back. No turning back.
Your parting shots.
Colin is on fire today.
Yeah.
I think that every man comes to a point where they make the decision for a vasectomy because they're coming from somewhere. And I think that if one is comfortable with the kind of family they have, I don't see any problem with having a vasectomy done. My first attempt was a rough one. I was thrown out. I was thrown out by this nurse, this Muganda nurse in Mulago. I didn't know that back then that there are options like what Dr. Okumu is saying. And I think I still want to consider it. Because also in particular, with particular women's bodies, other contraceptive methods don't work very well. The pills sometimes make them fat or whatever. The implant makes them bleed and have irregular periods, which affects
and it's not the product, it's the bodies reacting.
The bodies sometimes reacting, which affects engagement as a couple, you know, in sexual union. So there's a couple of things to consider. So at some point you are like, the coil is not 100%. You have to check it every year, because if it moves, you can conceive. So at some point you want to say, if you're done, there is one sure way to make sure there's not going to be a child. Me who produces the seed, I'm not giving any more. And now we're lucky to have science that can reverse it in case anyone wanted to reverse it. So I personally would encourage men who are considering it to do it. I don't think that you are any less of a man. In fact, I think you are more of a man, because you are not being selfish. You are thinking about your wife, you think about your family, you think about your kids. So I would encourage people who are thinking about it to go visit Nakasero Hospital and visit Dr. Kum. Dr. Kum, how many people have you cut?
How much experience
have you operated?
Not cut. Like the vasectomy. How many vasectomies have you done?
Where the population is very low.
Yes.
So when I used to work in cases, we used to get 1 to 3 in a year.
And now?
Even now in Nakasero, I think we don't get, I think every year we get about 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Because doctors in Nakasero are famous.
Yeah. No, that's good. So I really think that it's an option to consider. And thank you so much for educating us, especially in letting people know that it's reversible.
Yeah. Because
for most people, that was the worry. That in case I change my mind, can I be able to reverse it? I think I like that.
Okay, you're burning.
No. Just in closing, if you're going to have a vasectomy, please talk to your partner. Don't go and do it in secret, and then your wife comes and says, "We're expecting," and then
you're like,
all of a sudden,
"We can't expect."
A certificate from 3 years ago. Please don't. Anyway,
now,
close the show.
Let me tell you what. Just as we end thinking about that, sometimes, and I believe it is the way it is. You can take a decision as a man, okay, and decide to handle your business. Clearly, one of the things that has come out is the issue of courage. The school of thought that I come from is a man. One of the things that makes a man is your ability to take control of a situation and to take the necessary steps without being selfish in the interest of others. And in such a case, and I'll give you a simple example. There's somebody I know, he's actually a good friend of mine, who when his fifth child was born, he's in hospital. His wife, because he's got 5 boys, okay. His wife said, oh, he was excited. He went in to see her after she delivered. She told him, oh, honey, but it's a boy. He's like, yeah, what's the problem with that? He's like, no, we haven't gotten a girl yet. Asked her, yet? She said, yes, we have to get that girl. He said, all right. He went to the reception and checked himself in to the same hospital, got a vasectomy, and kept quiet. Up till today, they are looking for that girl. Okay. Now, to me, okay, at first I was like, no, but it's something he's not scared of talking about. I think one of these days we will get him on this show, because I think it's important for a lot of men out there to know that it's your family, okay, and that's why it's called your family. Sometimes you need to take decisions and forget about the cultural things, all right? I mean, I've heard people ask others, say, oh, how comes you only have 1 or 2 children? And especially guys in the village. But how many of those people have even brought a kilo of rice to say, this is for your child, okay? So it's such decisions are actually personal decisions. Forget about what everybody is saying. And we know the society that we live in. It's a personal decision. It's about, you don't have to Discuss it with your friends and peers. It's a personal decision that affects you. And I think that takes care of your worries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel, and we have been talking about vasectomy. So for those of you out there who are considering it, I urge you to go ahead and do it. It's nothing to be shy of. And make sure you have a better life. That's all we have for you tonight. Have a good night, and God bless.